you all think your products are great, of course you do. And the problem, you always think, as Steve outlined, is that it's the system that isn't taking it up that's the problem. So what do you think innovators need to do to get adoption in the NHS? I'm going to start with Chris.
So I think pragmatically, know who's actually buying the technology is probably good advice. In London, in digital health, 75 to 80% of procurement is still at provider level. It's never been at ICBs. I think the innovations that are born from this group are the production line of innovation is really from the clinical workforce, clinical insight, and from patients. So I think it's baked into the clinical entrepreneurs, but that clinical insight is not always apparent in all of the innovations landing on the system. But make sure your solutions are clinically grounded, and clinical transformation will yield the operational and financial benefits that the NHS needs, I think. And then finally, there's something in a crowded market, being a bit unique and solving a big enough problem. So I think, and where you're not solving a big enough problem, how might you club together to produce a kind of bundled solution that tackles something really quite big? That would be my advice.
I would say use the innovation ecosystem support that's out there. There is a wealth of support for innovators. There are the HINs, which of course Chris just spoke about. There's the NHS Innovation Service, which is your single front door. They will do a needs assessment for you. They will tell you what it is, where your gaps are, and then they'll help signpost you. That's a first point of call. Then you've got SBRI who'll give you the funding. You've got the NIA, and you've got SEP who'll give you all of that. Now you have all of that out there. You're not alone. And I think staying in a siloed piece where you think that you know everything and you don't need the advice of anybody else, I don't think that works. I think learn from all of us, but come together and use that ecosystem that is out there for you. Fab. Alice, briefly.
Yeah, I would say two things. Pay attention to patient experience, pay attention to inclusivity. If your innovation, quite often we collect data on financial outcomes, bed days saved, inpatient episodes, and so on. We've got our financial cost benefits. We've got our clinical outcomes, where clinical outcomes are being improved. But we don't always pay attention to patient experience. But if patients have a poor experience of your innovation, there will be low take-up and there will be poor adherence. So in the end, you will not realize the benefits or even the sales that you really want to see. The other thing is design inclusivity from the outcome. So again, it's been alluded to a little bit earlier on, but we have huge health inequality challenges in this in this country at the moment and across our health service. There is a massive opportunity to help the NHS address those. But also, if you don't design inclusivity in from the outset, then we risk making those gaps wider, not smaller. So we need to be thinking about how will people access our technology? What about people with sight impairments or people who have English as an additional language? How will people kind of access our treatment? Where will they do that? At home, as a wearable, these things have huge advantages, but we've got to design inclusivity from the outset.
Maybe like build your network in terms of clinical champions and system champions in order really to enter the NHS.
So I think one of the things that companies and entrepreneurs need to bring to the table is a co-design mindset. So there has never been an example that I'm aware of, and I doubt if there ever will be, of a product or an entrepreneur stepping into a real-world clinical setting and everyone going, that is perfect, let's plug it in and just go. You need to, it needs to adapt, it needs to be contextualized at a local level. You're going to need to win the battle of hearts and minds with busy clinicians, busy operational staff. Now, the Insights team can support you in that process, but ultimately you've got to come with an open mind, be prepared to be adaptable, be patient, and be prepared to adapt to the needs of that local environment, which might be very similar to other organizations you're working with, but there will be enough nuance that you need to be aware of.